Ridley Scott is not the only big, dominant, fabulous, one of the all-time great directors we have working today. Martin Scorsese, who has been in and out of the news headlines, sometimes for the wrong reasons, sometimes for the right ones. But he's got a movie that is in theaters right now, going into its 6th week, that we've been very excited about for a long time. Killers of the Flower Moon. A 3.5-hour film that I thought was very good. It was unnecessarily long. I feel a lot the same way about this movie that I felt about The Irishman. It's like, really good movie, really could have been 40 minutes shorter. And actually would have been a better movie, I think, if it had been about 40 minutes shorter. But at any rate, really good movie. Not going to end up in my top 5 of the year, but solid, another very positive, good movie coming from Martin Scorsese. But there's something about it that nobody seems to want to talk about. Nobody's brought it up. Nobody's making it a focus of discussion. And we've been guilty of this here too. Because when you look at a movie like, say, The Marvels, we've talked at length on this channel about the box office utter failure of that movie. A movie that cost north of $200 million to produce and will not hit the $200 million mark. I mean, it might internationally hit the 200, overall worldwide hit the $200 million mark. But here's the reality. Killers of the Flower Moon, and nobody wants to talk about this, a $200+ million production budget movie with one of the all-time great directors and 2 of the most iconic actors working in the business today, both Hall of Famers, both Oscar winners, Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio. This movie by Martin Scorsese, $200+ million budget, has made, let's go over and take a look at this, has made in over 5 weeks, $146 million. That's worldwide. That's worldwide. The Marvels has made more than that. And while we have spent a lot of time breaking down, and not just here on my show, but across the fan community, everywhere, a lot of discussion and breakdown and analysis about the failings of the Marvel's box office has gone on, and yet very little, if any at all, about the complete falling on its face of the new Martin Scorsese film, Killers of the Flower Moon. And by the way, this is not me hating on this movie. I really like this movie. I think it's quite good. But we need to talk about, why did a good movie by one of the all-time greatest directors in the history of the medium, with 2 of the most iconic actors in the world, there's no other way to put it, absolutely get rejected by the audience and fell flat on its face? We broke down and talked about different reasons why, we like a bunch of different reasons why we thought maybe the Marvels failed. Why did people not want to go out and see it? We got to do that for here too, right?
Can I, just from the outside looking in, I haven't seen the movie, but it feels like it's more of a localized movie where someone in China is not going to care about what happened in this movie. You know what I mean? Someone not here. I mean, that might have something to do with it, where Marvel should have been a lot more worldwide.
Well, but here's the thing too. Even let's look at the box office here. It's only made $63 million in North America. Yeah. So this isn't a matter of, hey, it made $110 million in America, but only 15 million worldwide. Like, it's like nobody wanted to go see this movie. So let's break down and talk about why. Why did nobody want to say, why did so many people not go, nah, I don't feel like going and watching that new Martin Scorsese movie? I think there is a couple things at play here. And one is, and this will resonate with Ray, I don't think people want to go to see a 3.5-hour movie in the theaters. At least there's not a lot of people who want to go see a 3.5-hour movie in the theaters. Obviously, there are some who have no problem doing that, but I think for a lot of people, they say, oh, a new Martin Scorsese, oh, with Leonardo DiCaprio, how long is it? 3.5 hours?
That was their expression too. They're like,
that's the expression. Like,
okay.
My wife was in labor less than that, you know? So 3.5 hours. I think that is not the thing, but I think that's one of the factors you can't ignore. I think a second thing is this. Again, not the factor. I think a number of Martin Scorsese's comments about certain types of films out there that a lot of people are fans of, I think rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I think some people have been turned off Martin Scorsese. I don't think they should be turned off Martin Scorsese, but I think there is an aspect of this that some people have just been turned off Martin Scorsese because he's spent the last couple of years talking crap about movies they love. And again, I don't think that should turn you off from seeing this movie, but I think that's been a piece of it, a part of it. Another thing to this is, let's be honest, Killers of the Flower Moon, while I think the trailers have looked fantastic, it's not what one would call an exciting looking movie. There's a lot of people who like to go to theaters. People go to the theaters for a lot of different reasons. I think there are a bunch of people who like going to theaters for certain types of movies. They like to go to feel thrilled, to feel excited, to have the adrenaline pump. And let's be honest, Killers of the Flower Moon, as good as I think it looks, to a lot of people probably might have looked boring to some people. I don't think we can say that Leonardo DiCaprio isn't a draw because of this one movie not making any money. But I don't know, like clearly having Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio's name on the marquee didn't get people out to the theaters. Maybe another part of it is that in this new era of streaming, more and more people are just thinking, I'll wait for it to come out in home video because this is clearly going to end up on Apple TV Plus, much like Marvel's will end up on Disney Plus and what have you. So that could be a factor as well. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. But Rob, as we sit here and we look at this $200 million production budget film with some of the most iconic Oscar-winning names in the history of the business attached to it, a movie that is quite good, why did nobody want to go to the theater to go see it? Why did people not go out and support this movie? What are some of your theories on that?
John, I think that, I hate to even say this, but I believe this to be true. This is not the kind of experience that gets people to want to go to a cinema. I mean, we as astute cinema goers and somebody who appreciates Scorsese's filmmaking, because it is quite, I think, an excellent film. It's beautifully made. But I could never get someone like, say, my mom to go out and see this movie. There's nothing in it that would be, she'd be like, oh, that sounds depressing. I mean, it's about a pretty dark period of American history. And it is the kind of thing, the length is a problem, the subject matter is a problem. It doesn't even matter who's in it. I just think that most people, what's the draw? In this day and age, people are going to, in a movie where like Oppenheimer made $1 billion because it had Barbie, but even the thing about Oppenheimer, it had the atomic bomb, it had one man, and there was things about it. Even the title, Killers of the Flower Moon, there's so many things in it that I think are off-putting to the general audience. And it doesn't give them, people are going to the movies now for spectacle, for to feel good, to be moved in some certain way, whereas this movie is not what I think audiences of today are running out to see in a theater, regardless. I do think, like we were talking about earlier, that you can't you can't judge it in terms of box office the way you judge Marvel, because Apple's primary business is not making movies, even though, as you pointed out, they're putting more money into it. They still have their tablets and their phones and their computers, and that's their primary business. So you'll end up watching this on Apple TV. Or you'll end up watching it.
I mean, I guess that's the question for me is at the end of the day,
I think a lot more people will watch it at home.
as opposed to, like, say, other
Absolutely.
other films?
You know what? I think that there's enough interest in this movie. That's when people are going to catch up with this, like 3.5 hours. Then they're going to sit down and watch it, and they'll find out it's probably they're going to.
So are we saying that Martin Scorsese is no longer viable for the movie business? Like, he can only make. And this isn't a rhetorical question. I mean, I'm wondering, is Martin Scorsese now a relic? And I'm not saying he is, but that the only place his place can go is on streaming, where somebody might want to click on it and check it out. Or can he still be a viable theatrical release guy?
No, because he makes a Wolf of Wall Street that's almost 3 hours long.
Incredible, by
I mean,
the way.
that movie, dude, I saw that movie like Christmas Day.
Yeah.
The audience loved it.
But to your point, with today's audiences, that was flashing Poppy Wall Street, and I'm not leaving, and, you know.
Yeah, like
So
no, I mean,
Margot Robbie spreading her legs for.
I mean, that
Leonardo
movie.
DiCaprio.
That movie was a rapturous experience in a theater, especially with an audience roaring. You know, and I really do think it. Look, I want to live in a world where Scorsese can make Killers of the Flower Moon or The Silence, but I also want him to be able to make a Wolf of Wall Street. You know, and I think it really depends on the kind of movies that are being made, and that's where the people that decide to make movies come in. Like if I think only Apple would have made this anyway.
See, I'm seeing a comment like somebody saying, well, people knew it was going to come to Apple, so they waited. Well, I don't consider that a valid thing, because then you can say the exact same thing about the Marvels. Like, everybody knows it's going to be on Disney Plus. Is that why the Marvels flopped on its face financially? I just think it's very interesting that three of the best names in the business with a very good movie, and nobody wanted to go see it. And
plus today, with today's movies, there's a lot of factors that go into. I have a reason why I would rather watch this at home. If there's a way to pay for it so it could get box office, then I would, if I could watch it at home. There's some people's like situations are different, so it's like it's so random.
But doesn't that apply to every movie that comes out, though?
But even more today, like you have all the streaming service, people are on their phones, people have YouTube. Like, oh, I don't want to spend money. I'll just watch something on YouTube or watch the John Campea Show. There's so many things that people are doing that it's hard to gauge why a movie totally flopped. Like the main reason why it flopped.
It's just so funny. If you had told me not long ago that there'd just be this little Five Nights at Freddy's movie that they made for like $20 million in bus fare, and it would beat a Martin Scorsese and a Marvel film at the box office, I would have said you were crazy, but here we are.
But there's also you could have two showings of the Marvels in the time that it takes to watch all of.
Yeah.
So that length alone is going to cut your, I would say, by 2/3, because you can only have one or two showings of this a day.
Right, but that only applies if the screenings are getting sold out, right?
Well, yes,
So it doesn't,
but-
I mean, like, if the screenings are getting sold out, then you can say, well, it would have made even more money if it was able to have more screenings. But if nobody's going to go see the screenings that you're having, I don't know if that would.
But I mean, if this were half the length, you'd
a
at
lot
least
more
double
people
your
would have
money.
gone. I think that's one of the big reasons, was that I think a lot of people got turned off by the length.
Yeah.
You might need to like really go through his edits for his next films if they're going to be longer, and just
I
possibly
agree.
think about it. Maybe just include it on the streaming service,
I
the
think,
longer version.
I think all filmmakers are going to have to really start rethinking how long they make things. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.